Hello, lovelies, and welcome to Vlogmas day number 10 for the Authortube Advent Calendar prompt Elves and Home. I didn't do day 9 because I really don't have a prompt for that, anything written for that, but I do have an excerpt from Relic of Time War number 8 called Terrearth Falling about elves. Sitting in a corner booth, the two Etherian and two humans were quietly discussing the need to create more homes for over 40,000 new people on Gaia and 9,000 refugees on Olympia. Ezio worried about the rapid need to increase food production, while Desmond suggested creating a new city for the refugees on each world and assigning trainers to teach the mostly urban dwellers how to live on their new planets. Another problem was many brought large amounts of paper currency, money which was now worthless. There were security incidents when those used to wealth, influence, and fame discovered they were no longer privileged. The attitude that a person's abilities and dedication gave them worth, not name, not wealth, not fame, was one that both younger Etherians and the first colonist humans held to. They were halfway through their meal when a group of rough-looking men came in, obviously refugees by their dress. They watched as the men dragged two tables together. They were loud and disrespectful to the waitresses and hostess. One of the men rudely grabbed the youngest of the waitresses and pulled her into his lap, while the others laughed. The obviously scared girl struggled to get free. Two male and one female Etherian were sitting at the counter, eating. All wore human-like attire as common for off-duty guardsmen in the colonies. The female, whom Shads recognized as Lariana of Rundus, immediately got up. She was with Barent and her cousin Link. "Unhand the young lady, please," Lariana demanded. "What?" The tallest human stood up. He was barely 2 inches taller than the warrioress, and she obviously wasn't impressed. She repeated, "I said, unhand the young lady." The tall human sneered and patted her cheek. "You girly elves sure are pretty. How about you sit down on old Pete's lap and keep my little friend company?" Her eyes narrowed dangerously as she caught his wrist. "I have no desire to keep you or your little friends company. How about you stop touching females who do not wish your attention?" she challenged, not understanding his innuendo. "Oh ho, elf girl here has fancy manners, but I don't like mouthy babes," he said in a hostile tone, his mouth curled in an evil smile. He jerked suddenly to backhand her, but she blocked and twisted his arm into a restraint hold. In moments, Link had the waitresses away from the group as Barent blocked his retreat, with the all-female waitstaff behind them. "We do not treat each other disrespectfully as you do. You will apologize to the young lady and leave," Lariana hissed. Pete swore and struggled, but could not rise and could not free himself. His friends stood menacingly, but the guardswoman showed no fear of the gang of humans. The one who grabbed the waitress attempted to step forward and swung at Lariana, but Barent blocked and knocked him to the floor with one blow, while the three others started to move forward. "Enough!" Shad's deep voice resonated throughout the diner. Out of uniform, it didn't matter. It took the off-duty guardsman only one moment to recognize him and his companions. They all bowed their heads in respect at the unexpected appearance of the swordsman Lord Shads and protector Lord Abriath. The humans stepped away from the Etherians and closer to each other, much the way prey cowered when faced with predators. Shads noticed the smallest one with dark eyes didn't flinch away or stand when the others did. He just quietly chewed a coffee stir and watched, half smirking. Shads knew he was the gang leader. Lord Shads, Lord Zabrythe, please allow me to explain, Lariana started. No need, guardswoman. We witnessed the whole thing, Zabrythe cut her off. You may release him, Lariana. Desmond D'Angelo hung up his phone, announcing, Looks like you fellas are going to be the first guest in our unused detention center tonight. We do not tolerate violence of any form here in the colonies, especially against women. You boys sound like Philly street thugs, but this isn't the West Side, and you are all under Etherian law now. We have our rights. You can't just lock us up, one of the humans said fearfully. Touching anyone without consent or attempting to strike another are both considered assault unless it is done in self-defense under our laws. You will find a much stricter code of conduct is expected of you here, Shads said, never taking his eyes off the leader. Huh, well, since only 2 actually made trouble, the rest of us will be going. The short one stood and glared at Shads. The others obediently followed him toward the door, leaving the 2 restrained behind. Tortino, don't leave us, Pete begged. Hey, man, not my problem you got pinched by the freaking elves, Tortino responded haughtily. See you around, Spock. It's Shads, Shads said in his deep, cold voice. His eyes glowed slightly. Whatever, Klingon, another sneered. Silently grateful for Bol's obsession with Terrearth science fiction media, Shads looked down at them, then said without expression, Spock was a Vulcan, not a Klingon, and I am far more dangerous than those fictional aliens. Slowly, he stepped away from the door, allowing them to pass. As Tortino moved, Shads held out his hand. It rested lightly on the shorter human's shoulder. We will be watching you, Mr. Tortino. The human glared at him, then shoved his hand away before storming out. The colony security officers showed up to take custody of the troublemakers and get statements from the staff. Ezio learned from the cafe staff the men had come in twice before and caused the same trouble, but this was the first time they refused to leave after being asked. It was a new problem. Their lieutenant scowled at the Etherian guardsmen and guardswomen as his men took the prisoners away. It seems like some people will find any reason to continue making trouble, especially with your kind around, to remind them of the rules. His tone implied he thought it was the Etherians' fault. Do you know who we are? Ezio glared at him. Nope, and don't want it, the officer said dismissively. I am Commander Ezio Creed with Atlas System Security, and this is Commander Desmond D'Angelo. Ezio's voice had a hard edge. And if you can't be bothered to do your job, I am sure some of the 40,000 refugees from the harvest of Terrearth have some police or military training. They would happily replace you. You need to remember that without the Etherians, you and your families would be dead with everyone else who didn't get off before the harvest. The officer scowled. Sir, yes, sir. His sarcasm was evident. Then he left with his 2 officers and the prisoners. Desmond just rolled his eyes. Haters gonna hate. Prejudice lives in the hardened hearts of those who choose the ease of hate over the work of love, Abriath said tiredly. They all looked at him. He shrugged. Something my mother used to say often. Usually she was talking about the problems between the common houses and the high houses. Now it seems prejudice exists between our peoples, and we have barely begun to know each other. The 4 protectors, 2 Arthurian warriors and 2 human soldiers, looked out at the rain-soaked streets of Central City on the planet of Gaia in the system of Atlas. None spoke, but all worried. The war with Damien had barely begun, and their peoples were already divided. Thank you for listening to this excerpt of Terrearth Falling, Relic of Time Wars number 8, for the Authortube Advent Calendar prompt, Elves. I hope you have a lovely day. Be blessed. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Christmas. And blessed Yule.